If you were in the last session, you might remember I'm Sharon Mueller, and I'm the Director of Advising and Policy in Engineering Student Services. We're really happy that you can join us. This is our Q&A with your ESS advisors and also with Marvin and me. And speaking of Marvin, I'm going to ask Marvin to introduce himself again.
Good morning all again, and for those of you that are coming from the earlier session with me, welcome again. And if you haven't, my name is Marvin Lopez, and I'm Director of Student Programs in Engineering Student Services, working very close with my dear friend and colleague, Sharon Mueller. So thank you all and welcome.
Thank you, Marvin. Sharina, would you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, good morning, everyone. I'm so excited to have everybody here. My name is Sharina Sampson, and I am an Engineering Student Services Advisor. I work with EEC students, BioE EEC doubles. I work with joint majors, and I worked in MECI for many years, and I'm a Cal alum. So I'm so excited for you guys to be making a choice, and I hope you choose Berkeley.
Thank you, Sharina. And before I jump to the next advisor, please start putting your questions in the Q&A. We will get to those as soon as we're done with our introductions. Shaniqua, would you please introduce yourself?
Good morning, everybody, and welcome. I am an ESS advisor, and I advise mechanical engineers and IUR. And I'm very excited to be here today and answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Shaniqua. And lastly, Olivia, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Good morning and welcome. So my name is Olivia Chan, and I am also an ESS advisor, and I advise electrical engineering, computer sciences, energy engineering, environmental engineering science, and engineering math and stats. I have been advising for about 18 years now, with 8 of those years being with the College of Engineering.
Thank you, Olivia. And that's great. I see we have lots of questions coming in already. So let's get started with our Q&A. So Olivia, let's go back to you. I see that we actually have a couple of students who are interested in knowing when can they get in contact with their ESS advisor?
Yeah, absolutely. So you will be notified, if you are an incoming Frosh, you'll be notified June 1st that you can start Golden Bear advising. So once you have completed Golden Bear advising, at that point, you will be able to meet with your ESS advisor.
Thanks, Olivia. And then just as a follow-up, what if I want to do Freshman Edge? Is it possible to talk to my advisor about what classes I could take in the summer for that?
Yes, I would definitely recommend that you get in contact with your ESS advisor just so we can see what courses you're taking and just to make sure that what you plan on taking is the best plan for you before you start at UC Berkeley.
Super, thank you. And Marvin, I think I'm going to jump over to you. Are freshmen able to get involved in research right away? And what's your recommendation about that?
So the first answer is yes. I do know a number of freshmen who do get involved in research, and the recommendation, that's a little different question. So I think that's something that you need to work with your advisor and to understand if it's something that makes sense for you, that you're ready for. But it can happen. And research, like most professional and career opportunities, are really about working, building a network and working through your network, understanding what faculty are working on, what GSIs are working on, what labs are available, what speaks to you, what passion you want to explore, and reaching out and offering yourself as a support for a lab informally. And there's also REUs, research experiences for undergraduates, where you can apply to conduct research at other campuses. And I know a number of freshmen who have also taken advantage of that. So the short answer is yes. And whether you should do it, I think that's a little more individual question. I invite you to work with your advisor to understand if it makes sense for you. But it is possible.
Thanks, Marvin. Okay, and we have a few questions about how am I going to know what classes I should take in the fall semester? Shaniqua, do you want to take that one?
Sure. So once you go through what Olivia referenced at the beginning, the GBA online advising series, it's going to walk you through a lot of information about how to select courses, accounting for prerequisites that you've already come into the university with, like AP exams or other community college courses that you may have taken while you're in high school. And at the end of that, it's actually going to generate a proposed schedule for you. So it's actually a very use as a template for you when you're going ahead to choose courses. So don't worry, you'll know exactly what you're supposed to do and when you're supposed to do it at the end of GBA.
Thanks, Shaniqua. Okay, now we have a few questions about changing majors, double majors, minors. Sharina, do you want to kind of explain what it means to change your major, or if you can be a double major, or what's a minor, and can students do a minor?
Absolutely. So there's several terms that we think of in the College of Engineering. There's a double major, which means that you have two majors in the College of Engineering. A minor would be something that you would take a few courses for, like something that was a regular major at the university, but you would take a shortened version of that. So maybe 5 to 7 extra courses, and that would give you a minor. It helps you just take a few courses in that specialty. And then we have simultaneous majors, which means that you would take a major outside of the College of Engineering and one inside of the College of Engineering. Now, whether or not any of these would be a great choice for you would totally depend on how much load coursework you want to take on, how much you might have already completed through exams. But that's something that you would discuss with your engineering student advisor, like engineering services advisor. And all of this is open to you, but in terms of planning, it's good to start planning early for those things. So that's something that you can talk about with your advisor.
Thank you, Sharina. And Olivia, we're getting a few students who want to know, how do I find out who my ESS advisor is?
So hopefully you'll be contacted by your ESS advisor at some point, but you can also go onto our Engineering Student Services webpage, which is engineering.berkeley.edu/students. And then there is a link where you can see who your ESS advisor is. So students are assigned, their ESS advisor is assigned by major for some of our larger majors, such as mechanical engineering, bioengineering, and electrical engineering, computer sciences. We do have multiple ESS advisors, so you will be assigned by your alpha last name.
Thanks, Olivia. And there's actually an even more direct link, which is engineering.berkeley.edu/advising. And so you can, like Olivia said, you can see the breakdown there. But you will be, as everyone's mentioned, participating in Golden Bear Advising. And as part of Golden Bear Advising, you'll start your communications with your ESS advisor at that point as well. Okay. And looks like we have a few questions about where can I find my 4-year plan for my major? Sharina, do you want to address that one?
Yeah, so 4-year plans also live on engineering.berkeley.edu. There's a whole section on students, and you can find that information there. We also have a page that addresses exams, and it's pretty easy to maneuver through. So that should give you a good idea about what your plan might look like for the 4 years that you would be here.
Right. And if you want a shortcut to our undergraduate guide, which is sort of the guide that houses all of this information, it's engineering.berkeley.edu/guide. So we've tried to create shortcuts for some of these web pages where we get a lot of action. So, okay, so kind of back to the majors. Shaniqua, do you want to address the question about how easy is it for me to switch my major within engineering?
Well, that question really, the answer to that question depends on where you're actually trying to switch. I'd say up front, you should come to Berkeley for the major that you're admitted to. If you already know now that you're not interested in the major that you were admitted for and you have an opportunity to do that at another school, then you may want to go ahead and make that decision to go elsewhere, because there are no guarantees that you'll be able to change majors once you enter Berkeley. However, if you do pursue a change of major, you will have a set of criteria that you'll have to satisfy depending, again, on which major you're looking to change into. So you want to talk about that up front with your ESS advisor. The good news is that a number of the majors have a lot of the same lower division requirements. So in your first year, your first 2 years, you're really not going to be missing out on curriculum in any direction that you're going in.
Thanks, Shaniqua. And then as a follow-up, Olivia, do you want to talk about how do engineering undeclared students choose a major, and what are the bars for them to pick a major in engineering?
So engineering undeclared students will have an assigned ESS advisor who will work with them. Since you've been admitted as an engineering undeclared student, you have access to any of the engineering majors. You do need to have, I believe, a 2.0 at the time that you do declare. And you'll be working with your ESS advisor just to make sure you are on track with the major that you hope to change into.
Thanks, Olivia. Sharina, there is a question about the possibly upcoming aerospace engineering major. I don't know if I can put you on the spot for this, but is it true that Berkeley is working towards an aerospace engineering major? And do we have a sense of when that might be available to students?
So it is, okay, so right now, available for any student would be the aerospace minor and the aerospace concentration. There is, the whole group is working towards a major, but we're not really sure about the timing of all of that. It may be a year or two out, just kind of given the talks about where they are standing. But I would say that if you're interested in aerospace right now, probably the best choice for you would be to go into mechanical engineering and or do the aerospace minor as part of the major that you've chosen. Those are both good choices. And in terms of planning forward, of course, we might have more information if you choose Berkeley in the fall, but for right now, it's kind of up in the air.
Thanks, Sharina. Olivia, I see that we have a few questions about math placement for the first semester. Like, if my AP score gets me out of Math 1A and 1B, should I skip Math 1A and 1B? Or is there a math placement exam that all students have to take? So basically, how do I know what math course I should start with in my freshman year?
So we continually reference Golden Bear Advising. And as Shaniqua mentioned earlier, basically Golden Bear Advising will help you to determine your first semester schedule. So as part of Golden Bear Advising, there will be a section on how do I choose my math class. So in that, they will actually give you sample exams. So we would ask that you look at these sample exams and actually see, okay, so I've technically tested out of Math 1A, 1B, but I want to make sure that I have all the concepts down before I move forward. So we ask that you look at the exam and just make sure that you know the material that's being covered in these exams. If you feel confident that you know the material, then by all means, feel free to enroll in Math 53 or Math 54, which is the next, depending on your majors, potentially the next math classes that you would take. So just use that as a way to determine whether or not maybe, oh, I have a gap here. In high school, we didn't cover this section. If it's something that you can review, then again, maybe you can move forward to the next math the next math class. But just make sure that you review that. And again, Golden Bear Advising will be there to help you. And again, once you complete Golden Bear Advising, at that point, you will be able to speak with your ESS advisor to determine, is this really the best math class for me to take?
Thanks, Olivia. We have a few questions about fall classes and how those are going to be offered. Does anyone want to volunteer to take this one on?
I'll go for it. So the plan is to offer courses in person in the fall. And as we've known and learned over the past year, plans don't always go as planned. So we are ready to be adjustable and to adapt to any changes in public health that might arise. But the plan by and large is for us to have in-person courses. For any lectures that are 200 students or above, they are still planning on offering those remotely through online learning. And there still will be a number of classes that are just online because they've always been that way. So the short answer is that we're going to be in person. However, there is going to be a variety of remote offering as well.
Thank you, Shaniqua. So let's go back to sort of the majors. There's still lots of questions coming in about majors, double majors, simultaneous degrees. Is it possible to do a double major, which is 2 majors in engineering, or a simultaneous degree, which is 1 major in engineering and 1 major in another college? Can a student finish that in 4 years feasibly? Olivia, do you want to take this?
Sure. So I think it really depends on your major. There are some majors that have fewer requirements than others, which make it easier to then tack on a double major or a simultaneous major. There are some majors where it would be difficult. If you do choose to add on a major, we will potentially offer you an additional semester, but probably not more than that to complete it. So again, this would be a discussion that you would have with your ESS advisor if that is the route that you choose to take. So we do ask, again, just the takeaway is that you should always be in constant conversation with your ESS advisor whenever you're trying to decide maybe adding something on, changing your major. Really, we should be your point of contact.
Thanks, Olivia. And as a follow-up, there's actually another question about how often can I be in contact with my ESS advisor as an engineering student? Sharina, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, so I mean, it's really up to you. A lot of this is driven by what your needs are. So I have some students that I meet with biweekly. I have some students that I meet with monthly, and I have some students that I meet with maybe once or twice in their 4 years here. So generally speaking, you are always free to ask your ESS advisor questions. That might be via email, that might be via appointment, but it really is depending on what your needs are.
Thank you, Sharina. I've seen a few questions about when is Golden Bear Advising? When will I be going through this process of choosing my fall classes? Shaniqua, do you want to answer that one?
Yes, I believe Freshman Golden Bear Advising is going to start June 1st. So at that point, you'll be able to go online, be walked through the series of questions and prompts, again, that will help you generate a schedule, give you a good orientation as to how things work in the College of Engineering and campus-wide. And at that point, you'll be prepared to meet with your advisor after you complete that and be a golden bear.
And transfer Golden Bear Advising will begin on June 15th. So for those of you who are transfer students.
Thank you. And Olivia, I'm going to keep you on the spot here. Does Engineering Student Services offer graduate school advising?
So we do not. We are purely undergrad advising. So if you ask us questions about graduate classes that you may be able to take, we will most likely refer you depending on the question. So we do have Meltem Errol, who is our Director of Graduate Outreach, who a lot of times we will refer students to if they have questions in general about applying to graduate school. But in terms of graduate school curriculum, we would probably refer you to that specific department to ask them.
Thank you. And Marvin, I see a couple of questions about prep. Can you talk a little bit about what prep is and when students will hear if they got into prep or not?
Absolutely. Thank you, Sharon, and thank you all for the question. So prep is fundamentally predicated on the idea that talent is distributed equally, but resources and opportunities are not. And we know that you are all the top of the top wherever you come from, but you may not all have the same exact preparation, the same exact resources, the same access to to classes and just preparation in general. So prep is a pre-engineering program and is a 3-week program before the semester starts. And there's a transfer version, the T-Prep sister program that happens in parallel, where for those 3 weeks, we give you a glimpse of the curriculum. We prepare you professionally and personally. And above all, we provide a community, a supported community that we hope and that we know will carry you not just for your first year, but through your 4 years here. So it's generally, like I said, typically a residential program. Last year and this coming summer, unfortunately, it will be done remotely. Though it was done very successfully, so I have to say we're able to deliver it very successfully. And there's lots of it that we learned that will continue on when we're back in person next summer. If you applied into the program, as soon as the statement for an intended registration deadline passes on May 1st, we'll start building the cohort from applicants. And so if you applied, you should be notified shortly after the deadline. So sometime in early May, you'll find out if you're in. So we look forward to having you all in the program. So thank you.
Thank you, Marvin. I see quite a few questions about minors. Can an engineering student minor in something that is not in the College of Engineering? Sharina, do you want to take this one?
Absolutely. So it is up to you in terms of what you want to minor in across the university. So all the minors available are listed in our campus guide, which I believe is guide.berkeley.edu. And you can look at all the minors available there. And generally speaking, our students take minors all across the board. So we have a lot of music minors. We have a few folks that do public policy minors. Anything is up for grabs. It really just depends on what your interests are and how you want to enrich your time here academically.
Thanks, Sharina. Olivia, is there a unit cap? In other words, is there a maximum number of units that students can accrue while they're a Berkeley undergraduate in engineering?
So in engineering, we don't have a unit cap. We have a semester cap. So basically what that means is if you are an incoming frosh, we limit you to 8 semesters. Again, that is also determined on whether or not you choose to double major or add a simultaneous major. So basically when you hit that semester cap, then that is when, that's what we go by. We don't go by units. So we do ask that students complete 120 unit minimum. But once it goes past that 120 units, we won't put any type of restrictions on you that say like you must graduate now that you hit 120 units.
And if you don't mind, Sharon, can I just add a note of caution to students? Requirements, policies vary quite drastically between colleges on campus. So be warned, your LNS roommate is going to have a variety of policies and requirements that they have to fulfill that are very different from yours. So if you haven't heard from Olivia a million times already by now, be in communication with your ESS advisor to learn what is particular for your major, for your college, and get advising in a professional way and not by roommates.
Especially if they're in a different college, because that would be very confusing for you. So Shaniqua, actually, I'm actually going to stick with you.
Sure.
Is it possible for engineering students to do study abroad? Can they fit that in?
Yes, and we actually encourage students to study abroad to enrich your undergraduate experience. We typically will have a session in the fall that gives students a little bit more information about how to study abroad and have a panel of students share their experience studying abroad. But generally, you absolutely can fit that in. It usually happens between the junior and senior years. It can be done in a regular term or over the summer. And the good news is that you don't even have to actually take engineering specific courses if you didn't want to. You could absolutely go somewhere and learn about the food and the culture just to really supplement your experience. But we definitely can fit that in. Talk to your ESS advisor again about how that could work for you in particular.
Thank you.
Sharon, if I could add to that a little bit.
Oh, yes. Go ahead, Marvin.
In addition to the formal education abroad program, we also have overseas entrepreneurship programs. So through the Globe Institute, we have programs where we fund you. And if you can apply into the program and we can fund you, the program funds you to do internships or research abroad. Through the Satarja Entrepreneurship Center for Entrepreneurship and Technology, they have a program where, and I know a number of our students have done it, where they go overseas to learn how to literally build a company and pitch their idea, and have actually come back with their idea and turned it into a company upon graduation. So there's a number of opportunities, not only for formal education abroad, but entrepreneurship abroad, which is really exciting. Of course, at the moment it is suspended, but we hope that this will all come back as we return to campus and return to somewhat normalcy come 2021. So, but very exciting opportunities that I really encourage you to look into.
Definitely. And Sharina, can you talk a little bit about the fifth-year master's program? What is that, and is there an application process, et cetera?
Yeah, so a number of majors in the College of Engineering offer a fifth-year master's program, which means that you would apply in your senior year to do a one-year master's program with your major. So it's not an automatic thing. It's something that you would apply to. And certainly that's something that you could plan for, maybe starting your sophomore year, in terms of what courses that you should take, what would make you more competitive for the program. I certainly talk to a number of students about the EECS fifth-year program all of the time. All of the majors actually have their own websites to describe what their master's programs look like, what the curriculum is, what the aim of that master's program is. And there's a whole variety of different types of master's programs. There's professional, industry-related programs. There's research-related programs. The fifth-year program is normally a one-year program, but master's programs can be, a one-year or a two-year program if you're going to do research. So definitely you have a lot of options. And certainly, coming out of Berkeley with an engineering degree, you don't have to do an engineering graduate program. So these are all things that are kind of on the table for you. It's like a smorgasbord of choices. All of your ESS advisors would be happy to talk to you about your choices.
And speaking of a smorgasbord of choices, Olivia, do you want to talk about, there are some questions about career counseling, and I was wondering if you could address how do we work with our campus partners to come to ESS to provide services? Do you want to address that a little bit?
Sure. So when we are in person, we actually have satellite offices for career counseling, as well as we have a satellite office for counseling, our counseling psychologist. So that's what's nice about it, is that because we are on the north side of campus, it means that our students can just come to ESS and actually meet with these individuals for drop-in, generally drop-in advising. So since we're remote, right now you would have to sign up for an appointment to meet with either the career counselors or with our counseling psychologists. So we do work closely. These are individuals who are assigned to the College of Engineering, so they understand what College of Engineering students are going through. So again, they will have that background It's one of, I think, the perks of being a part of the College of Engineering is knowing that you have people who work directly with you. And again, when we are back on campus, just knowing that, okay, I don't have to go all the way to the north side of campus. I can just come here and hopefully meet with one of these individuals.
Thanks, Olivia. And Shaniqua, we're getting still quite a few questions about minors. Students are wondering, can I do more than one minor?
Ooh, sure, why not? If that's what tickles your fancy, go for it. So there are some policies that come into play when you're taking on a minor, and especially two minors. There's some overlap rules that you'll need to be aware of when doing that. But again, you can figure those out through conversation with your ESS advisor. And I believe, as Sharina stated earlier, you can have minors that are outside of the college, minors that are within the college. It's just a matter of planning. You want to make sure that if that is your goal, you want to plan in as far advance as possible to make it work.
Can I add on to that, Sharon? So I think a lot of people are interested at this point in minors because they're thinking of like official ways they can enrich their academic programs. But there are a lot of ways to enrich your academic programs, right? There's research in a faculty lab. There's student groups that do competitions and build things. There are coding groups. There are decals, which are student-run courses that address like all kinds of things like how to build stuff and how to code and hackathons. And there are a lot of ways besides a minor that you can enrich your academic program. A minor is just one way.
Thanks, Sharina. And Sharina, I'm actually going to stick with you. If we have students who are pre-med, what's the difference between, would they get different advice being like an LNS MCB student or a College of Engineering BioE student? And how do they ensure that they're fulfilling pre-med requirements?
So the pre-med requirements of themselves would be the same depending on what major you are on the campus. It would always be, the pre-med requirements are always the same. It just so happens that BioE, their curriculum covers most of that as part of the curriculum. So you wouldn't have to do too much extra to actually hit all of those requirements for pre-med. If you're a philosophy major, you would probably have to do a bunch of extra stuff to hit all of those requirements. But I guess in a way, if you were bioengineering or any other engineering student, you would be at an advantage a little bit just because a lot of those requirements are already part of your curriculum.
So can I add to that just in terms of there is pre-health advising that is offered on campus. So students are able to sign up for 30-minute advising appointments. And there are also, you also have access to pre-health peer advising, and they have designated times as well. So when you sign up with for an appointment for pre-health advising, you would sign up online via Handshake. And then for drop-in advising, again, they have set days and times where you can then go ahead and drop in just to make sure you are following the requirements you need to be following to complete all of the requirements. So incoming freshmen and transfer students are welcome to connect with pre-health advisors as they prepare for the first semester as pre-med, pre-health students at Cal. If you go online and just do a Google search for pre-health advising UC Berkeley, it should bring you to a page where you can view a presentation for incoming frosh or transfers, basically to understand the prerequisites, learn about application timelines, and connect with resources. So,
thanks, Olivia.
Absolutely.
And gosh, time has flown, and I see that we're actually at time. And I want to give our students plenty of time to get over to the student Q&A. You can continue asking many of these questions of the students, and this will give you the opportunity to talk to current Berkeley students. I did want to mention this is recorded. So for those of you who want to rewatch it, we will have it available to you in a few days. And I want to thank all of the panelists for joining us today. And please do go to our next session, which starts in just a couple minutes with the engineering students, and you can ask even more questions of them. Thank you so much for joining us.